Before we begin, I just learned before coming in here in the passing of Bob Cole, so I wanted to acknowledge that and pass along our thoughts to his family and someone who touched the game in so many ways, but as an icon in our sport and the voice of hockey, not just in Toronto, but in our country. So a sad day for sure, and our thoughts with everyone.
Do you have a favorite memory of Bob's work?
Oh man, there's so many. Quite honestly, growing up, I think every memory I would have of hockey would be, with his voice echoing. I think it's very identifiable, one syllable, and it's Bob Cole. So yeah, and I just know that I have many friends and many people that love the games that Bob called and how he called them and the passion that he had. So I don't think one. With a career such as what he had, I don't think there's one particular moment, but I think we could all say that he was there for all of them, frankly.
He wasn't around much in the recent years, Sheldon. Did you ever have a chance to meet him?
No, I didn't have the pleasure. But like I said, yeah, I think millions of Canadians wouldn't have had the pleasure of meeting him, but felt they knew him because of the passion that he had, and it shined through in his work. So again, sad day.
Sheldon, how will the 2-day break in the series impact Nylander and kind of his recovery?
Well, obviously it would benefit. The more time, the better. As I said last night, it's going to benefit those who aren't playing and benefit those who are playing, and both on our team and on the other side. So it's good as we move into the back half of the series, and a chance to take a breath here today and get some needed recovery, and we'll ramp it back up tomorrow.
Is it a migraine issue, as has been reported, that he's dealing with?
I think we made it clear at the beginning we're not going to comment on whether it's Willie or any other player on their status or their situation this time of year especially. But obviously we've been working with Willie to give him the time that he needs to be ready to play, and medical team works with him on a daily basis to see where he's at and continue to assess that.
Last night, a few of the players mentioned momentum, trying to hold on to it. Is there something the group can do better to kind of hold on to the momentum when you get it in those moments and not kind of ride too high and low?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a consistency of keeping your focus. That's really it. Sometimes you can you get up on a high and you start feeling good, and you got to be able to manage that in playoffs in particular. Whether it's shift to shift or period to period, game to game. Those things are really important to stay focused on the process and the things that lead to success. And that's really what we will focus on as we press on and get ready to have another bounce back game, just like we did after game one, and our mindset will be very similar.
Jim Montgomery
has a save percentage over .950 in 5 games against you guys this year, regular season playoffs. Is there a reason why he seems to have been so effective? Is there a key to beating him?
Well, the regular season stuff, I don't. That doesn't even factor into my mind. I focus on the 2 playoff games that we've had. I mean, first, he's a strong goaltender, and he plays behind a team that plays very well in front of him. So the opportunities that you get, are not aplenty, and when they are, they're not always clean. So you got to really earn your opportunities that way. But he's a strong goalie that they obviously have great belief in, and they gave him the lead in this series, and we found a way to get a couple by him and be in a pretty good spot in the game. He scored first in the game. We're in a good spot. We probably clearly need more goals, when goals are hard to come by, we got to make sure we're minimizing our mistakes and keeping the goals against down.
Jim Montgomery had suggested that the Domi bump on Swayman during that TV timeout might be a sign that he's in the Leafs' heads. Like, what was your perspective on what happened there, and do you sense any frustration that the chances haven't fallen?
I sense zero frustration, and I think it's playoff hockey, and things are happening all over the ice. With that logic, you would say every time they bump into one of our guys, maybe we're in their heads. I don't think that has anything to do with anything.
So, given the tightness of the series at 5-on-5, are you giving more thought to maybe reuniting Mitch and Austin a little more in those situations, as you have done in a bit? But do you put lower concentration not going in for?
Well, we'll always look at that. I think it's I've done it a little bit here and there. Primarily done it off of face-offs. Just I do find there's offensive zone face-off situations where it's beneficial to not just Mitch with his skill set, but a right shot in particular coming off the wall is helpful. With three lefties on that line, there's certain face-off situations and plays and things you want to run that it's not an ideal set. So having Mitch makes sense in that case. I'll continue to look at it, but the Matthews Tuesday line was outstanding in game 2. So that's part of it, right? You don't want to disrupt one line for another, and then you're kind of left with no lines, And so you really want to get multiple lines going, and so happened last night that Tavares Marner, Nye's line scores is a huge goal. Generated a number of really good chances for us. So there's lots of benefits that we've seen through that, and we've got to trust it and work through it, but also look to find our spots to change it up when it suits us.
Joe Bowen called up fans last night saying that they weren't loud enough proactively, didn't get behind the team enough. Just looking for your thoughts on it, or even if you could just talk about the impact that what happens in the stands has on the ice.
Well, first I found it quite loud in there last night, and there's a number of times that it's hard even calling out lines. You got to scream lines, and you got to kind of move up and down the bench to make sure players are hearing and communicating properly. That was same in Boston, and experienced that last night as well. So from my perspective, I didn't see that as an issue at all. In fact, there was some moments in the game where they got extremely loud. But clearly that's important. It's this time of year. It's hard. And there's not much between the teams, and the players are giving everything that they have. So that extra boost is really important. But that wasn't on my mind at all last night. Like I said, if anything, as a coach, your voice in your head is kind of pounding a little bit because you're screaming for 2.5 hours to try to communicate over top of the noise.
So when you look at how the power play performed in the series, what have you seen?
Well, obviously we haven't scored enough. That's very evident. From a coaching perspective, you look at it from a process point of view, and you break it down. It's what's really happening. The things that you want to have happen on a power play. You want to win face-offs. If you don't, you want to make sure your entries are clean and you're getting set up in the zone and you're spending time in the zone. And ultimately, the most important thing is, are you generating chances? And I look at that from that perspective. We've done that quite well. We're entering the zone at a very high rate. We're setting up at a very high rate. We're spending time in the zone. In the last 2 games, we've generated 11 high-danger chances in the slot. Those are hard to come by, and we've been able to do that. We haven't converted. We only have 1 goal to show for it. So some of it, we've got to look for ways to, put our players in positions where we can convert perhaps easier and better. At the same time, we also got to trust it and stay with it and all of that, because as I said, the things you're trying to do to put you in a position to generate chances, in the last 2 games in particular, have been there. They've been present for us. So we need to be able to convert on those opportunities. 1 out of 11 scoring chances, high danger chances, in tight to the net, and we've been in those spots and haven't converted. So we've got to both stay with it and trust it, but also continue to work at it and adjust.